You've unlocked a Roundtable.
Welcome to the Lost Levels Roundtable discussion of Crimson Peak. With me, as always, is Alex.
Hello.
Just to touch on really quickly, Lost Levels Roundtable discussions used to be all spoiler-filled. We're kind of changing the format a little bit to kind of broaden our audience. So we're going to go into a non-spoiler review. However, at the very end of it, we are going to talk about it in spoilers. We'll give you plenty of warning. That way, if you do want to have a little bit of a spoiler discussion, we will actually do that at the very end. So again, no spoilers at the beginning. That being said, let's get right into Crimson Peak.
Okay. Basically, it is a movie about this young lady, who living with her father in the early not colonial times, but the young years of America as it's still developing, and meeting somebody who wants to whisk them away to their estate overseas.
Yeah, played by a brother and sister pair.
Correct.
Of Jessica Chastain and
Tom Hiddleston.
Yes, who also
Tumblr knows that.
Everybody knows Tom. Loki, for anybody who doesn't know him by name, in the Avengers movies and the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
Then you'll be like, oh, that guy. Yep, that guy. So this is a Del Toro movie. And...
Which Del Toro?
Yes.
Guillermo Del Toro.
Right.
Not Benicio Del Toro. There are a few Del Toros.
There are. The one that I said...
Guillermo.
Yes. So this is a based on a true story, I believe.
Nope.
Damn it! All the movies we watch are based on true stories. How could the last two that we review are not based on true stories?
Because we're not quite in Oscar season yet.
All right, fair enough. So I guess not based on true story. This movie also stars Mia Wasikowska.
Sure.
I can't. I unfortunately can't pronounce her name. She was in Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, okay. I know you recognize her for something.
Yes. And it also has who else is Charlie Hunnam from Sons of Anarchy and Pacific Rim as well. So this movie has a really good cast, actually.
Solid, yeah.
Yeah, as you're going through it, you're just like, holy crap! You recognize all these people, and overall, like, what do you think of the story elements of this movie?
This story this is kind of where I think it's the weakest part of the movie, honestly, because the story's just everywhere. It doesn't know exactly what it wants to be. I mean, it's this love story with ghosts and murder intrigue and stuff like that. So it's like it's all over the place and just really doesn't do any one of those stories very well.
Yeah, you know what? I completely agree with you. That was my problem with the film, actually, was the fact that the story kind of just took a long time to get anywhere. And it was slow-paced, and when it finally did, as you kind of were about to say, it didn't really do anything that was satisfying.
Right, I mean, I feel like they were trying to have some big reveals, and when those reveals hit, they didn't really change the movie that much. It didn't really make you look at the movie in a completely different way. It was just kind of like, oh, it's a twist, okay. And they weren't that surprising of a twist either.
Yeah.
I mean, they're kind of predictable, for me it seemed.
Well, I agree. It was kind of just bland in that regard. It was nothing that was groundbreaking in terms of storytelling. It didn't really captivate you from open to end. You're kind of just waiting for it to move on.
You're waiting for something to happen. Nothing really ends up happening.
Yeah, so I was disappointed in that regard. But then I started thinking about other Del Toro films, and I kind of feel like he gets into these areas in his stories where they kind of just have these big lulls, and I just
yeah, I could see that. Like, as much as I like Pacific Rim, I feel like there are definitely in those segments as well.
Yeah, and you think about his other, like, his films like Pan's Labyrinth or like The Orphanage, like there's good ideas there, but they just don't really
They're not fleshed out.
Yeah, they're not like fulfilling, like from a viewer standpoint, from open to the end. There's just those peaks and valleys, and they're like, oh, that's an interesting concept, and then followed by something they're like, God, just come on, let's move on.
Correct.
Another interesting concept, and it's like peaks and valleys in terms of like the movies, and for that's how I kind of like view a lot of his movies. Even Hellboy. I mean, I love
like,
Hellboy as a character.
There's like Crimson Peaks and Crimson Valleys.
Peaks and okay. All right, whatever. I make the bad jokes here.
Oh, I can make plenty of bad jokes. Don't get me wrong.
All right, so that being said, I don't know where. Okay, we talked about the story a little bit. We don't want to go into the spoilers, obviously, because
right,
the non-spoiler section. But there are stuff to be said in the spoiler section. So if you guys are interested in more about the story,
we'll go into that later.
Yeah. So yeah, this woman, she ends up going to
England.
Yeah, to overseas and
living with Tom Hiddleston because he wooed her.
Yeah, and that's where the story kind of gets.
And it took a long time to get to that point.
It does, and that's the thing. That's
it
where the
like
story
half an hour,
finally got interesting, and it's half hour to 45 minutes into the film.
Yeah,
that long first act definitely left me wanting, or left my mind wandering, I guess.
Yeah.
Whereas it's like, okay, let's move on. So when we finally get to the Crimson Peak, it definitely does pick up, and it's a lot more story elements that are a little bit more fleshed out. But that's when the visuals really turn up too, because visually Del Toro's always been strong.
Yes, this movie is visually stunning. Like, it's one of the best looking movies I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, honestly, it's a great movie. Like when you first see the castle or house in the UK, it is beautiful, and it feels like a living, breathing place.
Yeah,
like. And I really was captivated by that whole entire house, how run down everything is, and how
the set design was outstanding. There's just details everywhere.
So I was blown away by that, and that's how it is with Del Toro films. Like, basically, he's just amazing at creating those scenes, the scenery background, or the background scenery, and everything that's there. Aside, also with him is his character creature creations, or creature design.
Definitely.
Where you see ghosts in this movie, and they're absolutely gorgeous.
They're gorgeous and terrifying at the same time. Like, they're gruesome, and I mean,
the little touches to them are just absolutely amazing. How you see like smoke rising off.
Oh well, that's supposed to be like their blood. Their blood is just like smoky and coming up instead of dripping, which is a cool little imagination of it.
Yeah, they were. That I loved. I wish this whole entire movie was just that.
Yes, definitely. Like, I wish there was a lot more of the ghost story to this story.
Yeah.
Because that was the most interesting and captivating spot.
Oh, definitely. Like, I was totally engaged. The second that I started seeing like the scarier, I guess not necessarily scarier elements, because the story's not overall scary. There's not it's not trying to do those types of jump scares or anything to you. It's just supposed to have that great atmosphere.
Oh, creepy, no doubt.
And that's what makes this movie excel. Like,
the scary sections of this movie, if you could call them that, are truly frightening. Like, they make the hairs on the back of your neck stand up.
Right. And I liked that element to it. Like I said, I really wish this movie was that from open to beginning. The first act just took too long to get to where it needed to get to. Mm-hmm. And that was unfortunate, because the second half actually did pretty well for itself. The scenery, the great creature work or design makes up for the lack of story, or the lacking story elements, for sure. So that's kind of like how I feel about it in a nutshell. I mean, what do you think about like performances? Was anybody like standing out for you?
No, I mean, they all did a good job. I mean, I don't think anything was outstanding and very Oscar worthy in that regards, but none of the performances made me cringe.
Right. Yeah, and that was the thing. Like, Jessica Chastain, obviously, I think she's an award-winning actress, but she's very popular, and she always gives solid performances, even if the script doesn't necessarily give her that opportunity, like this script for once. But she does a great job as the sister. Tom is amazing as always.
Oh, yeah, he does a good job.
So
always.
yeah, you're right. Despite the script, no one really stands out saying, "Oh God." They don't. They're phoning it in, so to speak.
No. I feel like they're all very passionate about this movie.
Yeah, like Bruce Willis wasn't in there just giving flat dialogue that you just didn't care about. It's like, oh, I'm collecting a check. Who gives a shit? No, it's not. It seemed like everybody was generally interested into it and wanted to make the best picture possible, and they didn't take away from any of the movie.
Right. There's obviously a lot of passion behind this movie, but it misses some beats and elements.
Yeah, and like there's some like performances that don't work. Like I love Charlie Hunnam from Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah.
And he just feels awkward. Like he
did not fit in.
Yeah, there's
Like,
something about him.
Yeah, like I don't think he did a bad job. I just don't think the role was right for him. He didn't have the look. He didn't have the feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's something about him that I didn't connect with his character as much as we could have as an audience.
Yeah.
There's something about him that kind of distracted you from the whole time.
For me, it was me trying to figure out who it was for the whole time. Like, who the hell is? I know this face.
Well, you know him from Pacific Rim, obviously.
Yeah, but I saw that once, and I never really watched Sons of Anarchy. I saw a few episodes. But...
See, he's amazing as Jax. I thought he was great.
Right.
Sons of Anarchy main character. And
I picked that up.
Does phenomenal job in that. So if you haven't seen Sons of Anarchy, definitely check that out. He does great work in that. But in this film, he just doesn't seem right for it. There's something about him when he transitioned to movies that he doesn't have that same weight that he has in the TV show. Because in the TV show, he definitely carries it.
Mm-hmm.
He owns Jax Teller, and the TV show is centered around him, and it works.
You're right.
You're captivated the whole entire time. But like now that I've seen him in a couple films, I'm kind of just noticing like there's something about him.
Well, I mean, that just may be a design of his acting. I mean, not everyone's going to be fit for the same thing. I mean, there's a lot of people who do great on television, but you don't want to see in movies. But there's also some great movie actors that I just don't think I would ever really want to see in a series. Like George Clooney. I'd love to meet some George Clooney, but I don't think I could ever picture him in a television series, you know?
Kind of like a Charlie Sheen where he went to 2.5 Men type of thing.
I guess.
I don't know. I don't know. All right, so what else do you want to talk about in the non-spoiler section here?
I don't know. I feel like we kind of covered everything we have to at this point. Visually, it's great. The acting is solid all around. The only problem really is that the story beats don't quite get to where they want to go, and takes too long to really get interesting.
Yeah, I think that's basically sums up Crimson Peak.
Yeah.
So overall, would you recommend this movie?
Overall, yes. Like I said, you're not going to get much out of the story, but if you like something visually stunning, there is something there for you. So it's definitely worth a watch. If you don't mind dropping the money, probably see a matinee, because I think it is something you want to see on a big screen just because the visual elements are that good. But you could definitely, see on Netflix. It's worth your time.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not even saying recommending it in the theaters at this point. I'm just going to be like, you know what? Go rent it.
Okay.
Check it on cable or something, or as Alex just touched on, watch it on
Netflix.
On Netflix, because there's not enough there for me to say go run out to the theaters and go watch this movie tomorrow, just because of the story kind of takes too long. But yeah, so that's our non-spoiler review of Crimson Peak.
Okay.
Stay on after our going aways.
Yeah.
So we could talk about it in spoiler form. All right. So how can we reach you?
Okay, you can follow me on Twitter. My name there is Alex Sandberg, AlexSanberg, or you can email me directly at the website, alex@lawsoft.com. What about you, Chris?
Chris, at Calm Intensity for Twitter. On Instagram, I've opened that up to the public now, where I kind of had like a private account before, but now I just don't care. So it's Chris's Calm on Instagram.
So you can see all his pictures of his cats.
Every Saturday, Catterday.
Catterday.
God, I hate myself for that. Anyways, lostlevel.com is the website. In the upper right-hand corner, we have links to all of our social media. We are on Twitter at thelostlevel.com. No, we're at lostlevel, the lost level. Oh, I just jacked that up. On Twitter, we are at the lost level. On Facebook, we are just Lost Level. And all of those links directly to that are on thelostlevel.com. We're also on iTunes. We have a YouTube account that I've been updating for all these reviews. So definitely check us out there. And hang on, and we'll talk to you guys in a second.
And spoilers.
Oh, you didn't even give it a break.
Well, we've given them plenty of time to
We
turn
give them
off.
1 millisecond of time.
It's not like we just suddenly dropped a spoiler on them.
Okay. So, spoilers. There will be blood. Like, it's...
Oh my god.
There's a lot of blood in this movie.
I walked out of this movie afraid of anything sharp or pointy. Like, fucking, it gets brutal with the knives in this and cleavers.
Yeah, there is some shit that happens in this movie, and we can talk about it now because we're in the spoiler section. Like Tom getting stabbed in the face,
Dude. Like, I feel like the whole audience just cringed at that moment.
Yeah, like when he got stabbed in the face, and then you see that, and then you see them pulling it out. You're like, oh God,
Yeah.
that's no.
It's terrifying.
No, because like then you see his like eyes start getting the bloodshot, and
And just the skin starting to pull out a little bit.
Yeah, that
just
was
giving the resistance. Oh, that's.
that was not good. That was,
I mean, it was not good for him, but it's an incredible shot and scene.
yeah.
I mean, because that's a turning point. Because that's when he's going against everything he's been doing.
Well, he's going against his sister.
Yeah, exactly. It's been him and his sister, aka Lover, which
was
did not
so creepy.
creepy, but also did not surprise me. I
It made sense because they kind of allude to it.
Yeah.
Like their relationship is very creepy, and you don't exactly know how to place them early on in the movie in the first act, where they're doing like the dance scene, and they're really close to each other, very intimate kind of like relationship, and you're looking at it like, is that really his sister?
right.
Like what's going on there? So maybe that was intentional. Well, obviously it was intentional, but it's just it's unnerving the fact that like yeah they're incestual, and it's just not good.
No, it's incest usually doesn't end up well, especially when they have a deformed baby.
Yeah,
I mean that's just kind of a weird element of the story that they never went into all that much either.
yeah. That's the problem with the story too. It's like it doesn't take the time to really flesh itself out. They kind of just throw these things in there because it feels like by the time they finally got to Crimson Peak, that they were pressed for time. So they kind of just put perfect things in place for her to discover these facts, like those recordings. Like,
oh right.
Like that would just happen too conveniently. Like, oh yeah, don't drink the tea. So all of a sudden she doesn't like the tea, and then like, oh, I'll just poison the porridge anyway. Fuck it.
Right.
And shit like that was just too convenient.
And just, I mean, being pressed for time, I never felt like this being a love story in some elements of it, like, I never really felt the love to the point where when Tom Hiddleston did turn against his sister, I'm like, really? I mean, you don't seem like you're really into this girl that you're doing this for.
Who, the main character?
Yeah.
Her name's Edith, but we'll just call her Alice because I'm used to saying Alice.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. The relationship felt forced. Yeah, you're right. Because, like, you can't tell. There's no, like.
It didn't feel genuine.
It doesn't feel genuine. The whole entire time, it doesn't feel genuine. You don't believe her love, their love, enough for him to get married to her and bring her back to the UK. Like, it feels false.
Well, I mean, that element was to use her. They were bringing her back to use her.
They're using, but he even like says like, no, I'm taking a younger one this time because she's different. Because he feels differently about her. He actually wants to bone her.
Okay.
Which we get to see.
You get Tom Hiddleston ass in this.
Right. And I don't know, and Visually, man, I really love this movie though. Like,
Oh yeah, definitely.
holy shit, man! Everything about this movie I love visually, but I couldn't get into the story at all. Just it felt, like I said, rushed at the end. It just
I felt like the show off could have been a lot better at the end. Like I was imagining, like the sister being tossed underneath that clay digging machine. And I thought that's what was going to kill her. I thought like,
oh,
you know,
because they spent so much time on that.
yeah, I'm like that would have been awesome and poetic if they did it that way.
Mm.
But it's like no, she just got hit in the head with a fucking shovel. Like,
Which was brutal.
I mean, yes, brutal. Don't get me wrong.
That fatal swipe, when her head just like caves.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
But I think, I mean, just me personally, I think she should have been tossed under that clay digging machine, and it would have been more poetic in that sense.
Okay, I could see that, and I agree. I think that the way that she died, I guess, was kind of unsatisfactory, but I think at the same time, you also have Tom's ghost. What's his character name? Thomas.
Makes it easy.
Yeah, Thomas Sharp. After he gets stabbed in the eye and dies from the fatal injury, he becomes this ghost over by the machine at the very end, and essentially saves Edith, Alice.
Yeah, I know. I wasn't too confused.
Saves her from that. So, from his sister, and make sure that things changed, as opposed to the cycle that they had all over the place. I don't know. Yeah, and Trent Hunn's character, who played Dr. Allen, comes in to save the day before all this, and like, I didn't care about his character.
No.
I didn't like his love story. Didn't even feel believable.
I felt worse for the dog.
Yeah, like I didn't even care about him. Like I didn't feel that he loved Edith. It felt like the traditional, very cookie cutter, one dimensional. Like, oh, and there's this other guy who's super like perfect. Mm-hmm. And just isn't good enough for the girl who she never looks at him that way, but he's perfect for her.
We've all been there though. Come on.
But okay, but you see that all the time in movies. You know what I mean? So then he comes in to save the day, like always. So there's nothing new to the story that like is groundbreaking by any means.
No,
it's just a simple kind of basic story with creepy ass elements in it. And if it wasn't for the great atmosphere, visuals, the ghost work, all of that stuff, this movie would really be
it would be bad.
It'd be a direct-to-video movie. There'd be nothing to the storyline that would make it interesting.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah,
that's the only thing that really holds this movie together is that last act where you get to see the cool shit.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's just like, whatever, man. This movie's boring as shit. I'm just moving on. So, do you have anything else to say in the spoiler section?
No, I feel just like, they try to make the death of the father seem devastating, and it's just like, it's just kind of one of those things you knew was going to happen. Well, it's also just very predictable in so many of these beats.
Yeah, at the time, the director's trying to get you to care about Tom and like his shortcomings. So then the dad, who's like kind of been like, get away from my daughter, I'll pay you off, just leave us alone, leave her alone. So you don't generally like that character. So his character death, it's like, oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah,
he's dead. You don't care. There's no impact there from the audience, because you're like, well, he's just trying to pay off Tom to go away. So who cares about him?
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't go that far. He was being the protective father. I don't think he was trying to be a bad person. He knew something was wrong with him, and his words should have been heeded, but
I don't know. It's hard for me to really watch like horror genre movies because they're so tongue in cheek and like so cliched.
Yeah. Oh,
where
God.
You watch like
that's the problem with them. Yeah.
You watch these movies and I'm looking for more. And I have to take a step back, like, dude, it's a horror movie. Why are you looking for like this great character development and all this crazy shit? Like,
because they can do it.
The person,
you look at things that like It Follows, where there is great character development.
But yeah, 90% of the horror movies that we watch nowadays just don't have that. Obviously you'll have some more. Even The Ring, I felt like was a better scripted movie, but like, it's so tongue-in-cheek. Like, you kind of just expect all of the horror cliches to come out in terms of the script, and it's disappointing. So overall, really not overwhelmed by anything. It's just like I said, it's
a very, very pretty movie.
Yeah, gorgeous. So if you have a high def television, definitely check that out on the high def.
I'd want to get 4K for seeing this movie.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. But other than that, there's really nothing there. So that's it, really.
Yeah.
All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed our review of Crimson Peak. We will be coming up next with probably another movie that we watched recently. I think we'll do Bridge of Spies, which also opened the same week.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So we will do that one next, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
All right. Bye.